Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get started in just a couple of minutes, but I see we've got some people joining, so I want to go ahead and get things started. My name is Courtney Pollock. I'm the Customer Marketing Coordinator for SWK Technologies, and we're so excited that you're going to spend, 30 minutes on your Tuesday with us here today. If you haven't seen the chat yet, I'd love to know where you guys are joining from. It looks like we've got someone out in Arizona, someone out in Boston, uh, another person in Boston, so maybe a good connection to happen here. I'm loving seeing this in the chat. I'd love to know, can we get someone on, Pacific time? Do we have anyone out in California, a little bit farther west than Arizona? I'm coming in from Colorado today. There's finally some sunshine. I'm so happy to see the clouds go away. So it's going to be a good session today. We've got a great one. I don't want to start too early while we let everyone join in. I love this. We've got neighbors in the chat. That's great. Two people from Boston. I've never been to Boston. Maybe I'll have to check it out. Okay. Okay, it looks like we're right at time, so we'll go ahead and get started. As you join in, be sure to check out the chat. We've got a lot going on today. Again, I'd love to hear from you. I'd hate to think it's just me and our wonderful presenter today. So if you're out there in the audience, definitely check out the chat, check out the Q&A section. Today's session is 4 reasons to ditch your shipping system for one built around your business. So we've got a lot to cover in just this 30 minutes. And before we dive in, just a couple of logistics, nothing too boring, nothing too long. I wanted to let everyone know that today's session is going to be recorded. So, whether you're able to, catch the whole session, you jump on late for whatever reason, you weren't able to join us live today, we're going to send you the recording tomorrow afternoon. You'll find that in your email. And then we also have Q&A at the end. So the Q&A tab is open throughout the whole session. I highly encourage you to ask questions as they come to you. There's no need to wait until we get to the official Q&A. We are going to do Q&A at the end, but like I said, you can get those questions in at any time. Q&A section, put them in the chat, wherever you put them, I will find them and ask them to today's wonderful presenter. And then we're also going to do some polls. So if you're like me, you love a poll. If you hate a poll, there's not too many, but we're going to kick things off with a poll. We'll have another one throughout and then one at the end. Love to hear from you. You'll be able to see, what your fellow audience members, might have going on in their business. It literally helps us, tailor the conversation a little bit better and know a bit about, who's in the audience today. Oh, and we got someone from California. So we're coast to coast today. So thank you all for joining us. And let me bring on today's presenter. Hi, Shannon. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So today's session is brought to you by our awesome partners at RateLinx, and I'm sure Shannon will tell you all about himself in just a moment, but we're going to dive in with a poll right away. So that poll just launched. We're curious to know what your #1 shipping challenge is right now. So that poll is on the right-hand side of your screen, and we're going to put that on the stage so we can kind of see those votes as they come in. So shipping challenges, there's a couple of things there, but which one speaks to you the most? Is it technical support issues? Is it a lack of flexibility with that current solution that you're on? Maybe manual processes, scalability, integration issues. I know that's a huge one. So love to see your answers, and we're going to leave this open for just a moment. I love checking out the chat. If someone's joining us from the beach, I'm super jealous.
Yeah.
About that. Okay, let's put this up and see what people are saying so far. So it's looking like we're a bit across the board here. Oh, okay. We unevened out a little bit, but the top 3 definitely that technical support, manual processes, and integration issues. Okay, yep, and manual processes is coming up high, so we get that a lot. So let's keep on going. You can answer that poll at any time, and I am going to let Shannon take us on today's journey. So there you go.
All right. Well, thank you again for having me today. I appreciate it. So I'll give you a little background on RateLinx for those of you that aren't familiar with us. We've been around since 2002. So I actually started the company back then. I've been in the industry for probably ever, since the early 90s. That's where I started my days in the shipping industry. I used to be an implementer, so I'm more on the technical side of things. With RateLinx, we are based here in Scottsdale, Arizona. So we are right now Pacific time. For the next few months till March, then we'll be back on Courtney's time zone, the time zone that everyone forgets about, Mountain Time. RateLinx, we are an award-winning thought leader. So we are in the Magic Quadrant for Gartner for TMS, and we are also in their market guides for freight audit and for small parcel manifesting. So we are one of the top parcel manifesting solutions out there in the country. We're platinum with FedEx. We're also in the UPS Ready program, and we support, I think, like 35 to 40 different parcel carriers throughout North America, some in Europe, and some in Asia and South America. So we do have a pretty big install base using this solution. And if I show you, next slide here, showing you kind of our cross mix of our customers, you can see that we're kind of all across the board in terms of size of customer and vertical. So we've got, very large customers, we've got medium size, and we've got small. So the benefit that we find with that is there's really not a lot that we haven't seen or haven't had the solution for. So when we come into other customers, oftentimes we have a lot of experience with something that might seem very unique to them. And it also allows us to collaborate a lot more with our customers and maybe even introduce them to another customer that is going through the same challenges that can help them with solutions that they've done. So I think that's one of the nice things about our customers is they really are a good community of solutions that are out there. And when you look at, just a slice of some of the feedback we get from the customers that are using our solution, it really does revolve around not only the support we give them, but also just the ease of use, the integration and how tightly integrated it is with the ERPs. So for those of you using Acumatica or Sage, there really is not a lot of manual that you have to do. We try to automate as much of the shipping solution as possible. That way it's very easy for users, and the training and the, flexibility that you need is there for you. So we always like to say quick and easy to do stuff. So really the main 4 reasons that we find customers want to switch and use our ShipLink system with Sage or Acumatica. Support is a big one. Again, all of our support is here based in Scottsdale, Arizona. So we're US based. We do have 24/7, 365 support. And you will get an account manager that works with you, so they become very familiar with your solution and your business. We also have a lot of flexibility and scalability. So we do start with a lot of customers who maybe have one, very important thing that they want to solve, and we'll solve that for them. And then as their business grows and scales, they can continue to add on. So that's where we're going to deploy what they need when they need it. And there's really no limit. Again, looking at our customer base, we've got some of the largest shippers out there using our solution. So from a scalability standpoint, it's pretty much unmatched. And then integration. We do integrate it very tightly with the ERPs that are out there. So we try to pull all the information that's needed for a shipment. That way the user doesn't have much manual input that they have to do at all. And for some customers, we find that we actually have to pull from multiple locations, whether it's Sage 100 or maybe some other system out there that has different types of orders in it. The system can pull from multiple sources if need be to automate that shipping solution. And then last is the freight. So our solution does support parcel and freight. So we do support LTL, truckload, And we also support ocean and air. So you can do all of your shipping through one solution, and it'll be tightly integrated with as much automation as you require for your solution that's out there. So next poll question here. I'll let you take it away, Courtney.
Yes, so we do have our next poll question up. I promised you guys some polls. Hopefully you're like me and you like a poll. If not, this is almost the final one. So that poll is launched and we'd like to know, just what's your annual freight and partial spend? And, the reason we're asking that is because there are people of all sizes out in this audience today, all different types of business sizes. So we are about to dive into, the solution and just like to know a bit more about who's out there today. And we'll throw this up on the stage just to see what kind of groups we've got out there today. Inevitably, someone doesn't know. I feel like that's very relatable to me. That would be me if I was in a webinar today. I'm definitely the I don't know person. So no hard feelings there. And it looks like we're across the board at that, 300 to 1 million, 5 million to 10 million. You guys all in the audience today are very across the board. We're very even keeled. Okay. So hopefully, Shannon, that gives you a little bit of an idea who we've got out there today, and we can keep on keeping on.
Pretty normal what we see out there, a good cross mix. All right, so I can jump into the system and just give everyone kind of a high level demo of our solution. Just so you can see the look and feel and how we integrate it with the various ERPs. So our solution is cloud-based. So we are hosted in Microsoft Azure is the back end with SQL Server. We do have two front ends. We do have a web front end, and then we also have this desktop client that is used in more of the traditional shipping workstation type of install that we have to do, where you've got a PC on the floor, you've got a scale hooked up to it, a thermal label printer, box comes up to the machine, they scan in their sales order number, reaches out to typically Sage 100 is where we see this a lot, pulls in the ship to information here on the right, reads the weight off the scale, you click ship, prints out the label, sends information back to Sage. So when we install in this scenario with Sage, is typically what we use it for. It is doing a real-time integration. So when that sales order is entered in, it does pull in the information from Sage in real time. So that way, if there's any updates that were done on the sales order just before it was shipped, it would be grabbed right away and taken into account. And then sends the information back immediately. So typically what we send back is a tracking number, probably the carrier that was used, and then the charges. And with the charges, there's usually a markup. So a lot of customers will mark up their freight, and they've got a lot of markup rules. And those are the little business rules that we can take into account. So that way the system will do everything for you, and you don't have to do anything manual outside of it. You can also do a freight shipment through here as well. So if I'm doing a freight shipment, the system's going to then ask for pallets and pieces. So I can put in my pallets, my pieces, put in my NMFC, my freight class, weight, dimensions. And then what it's going to do here is it's going to do a rate chop. So that's where if you have multiple carriers in the system, it will display the carriers and their rates. And the TNT column is a transit time, so it will have your service days included as well. So then I can pick FedEx Freight, click ship. Again, it's going to send those freight charges back to the ERP in real time, and then it's going to print out a bill lading. So again, it's just displaying it to my screen. That way you can see what a bill lading would look like coming out of our system. This is just a regular VIX bill lading. It's a pretty standard bill lading. This is just a crystal report. So if you did need any changes made to it, we would make those modifications to the report and drop it in. Not a big deal. So that's the traditional shipping workstation that we do. If I go to the web screens, this is typically used more for the Acumatica side. So over here, they're going to do a shipment lookup. This is where they're going to put in the shipment ID. From Acumatica, they click next. Again, it's still a real-time integration. So it's grabbing that information, grabbing the ship to, ship via code, the details, and in this case, it's doing a rate shop. So again, it's doing that same LTL rate shop that you saw on the GUI front end. Has the rates sorted by charge, and then you got your service days. So again, I can just click ship. It's going to print my bill of lading, and and then send back your charges, tracking numbers, pro numbers in this case, since it's freight, back into Acumatica in real time. And then that way you've got all of your information sitting there in Acumatica, ready to go. And then I can go into shipping history here on the web, and you can see the shipment that I just did in here. I can go to the details, and you can see, again, here's everything that came over. So what was shipped on that shipment? This came across on the integration from Acumatica, breakdown of all of your charges, and then we have what we call attributes on the system, and these are here for a couple reasons. One is for searchability. So if you need to search for a shipment in our shipping history, you can find it by your shipment IDs that were in the ERP. And it's also here for reporting reasons. So if you want to do any freight reporting to see like how much shipments cost, or is it any customer IDs that you want to look at in terms of how much their spend is and things like that. So again, it's just as easy as go to shipment lookup. I put in a different shipment ID. This one's going to just come across as a parcel shipment. So now I just got my box weight, dimensions. So I can, again, manually change the dimensions if for some reason I want to override it. And then you ship it. It's going to send back the charges into Acumatica with the ship via code, tracking number, and then you're going to get your normal UPS or FedEx label, depending on which carrier you're using. Again, going back to shipping history, now I've got my 2 shipments there that we just did. So that's how easy we try to make the shipping piece. One more piece of the solution that we have is we do have tracking. So you can track shipments through here. So you will land on this KPI that shows just the basic milestones. Everything's been created, what's been picked up, what's in transit, what's out for delivery, and what's been delivered. And then you can click on the detail to see the details of the shipments. So this grid is customizable, so I can go into my page config setup and add columns, take them away. So if there's different fields that you want to look for and find in here, you can do that. And then if I click on the details of the shipping, it's going to take you into the tracking details and show you what's going on with the shipment in real time. Another thing I can do, if I come back here, one of the more popular things that we've been asked lately is around ocean tracking. So if you have ocean shipments that you want to track, we can capture those in here as well. So I can go into the ocean tracking. And then here it's going to show you all of the details of ocean, when it hit the port, when it left the port. It will give you ETAs as well around when it thinks it's going to hit the port. And it takes it all the way back until it's returned to the rail. So if I scroll in, you'll see that this hit the port in Long Beach. It then got railed up to Kansas City. And then that's where it got unloaded. And then the container got returned back to the rail. So all this information we have in our system, And we can integrate this back into the ERP if you guys need that to happen. It's just a matter of where do you want it? How do you want to see that? Otherwise, we're going to have all of the details on our side. And then we also can capture the invoice, the freight invoice. So for some of you out there that have a lot of freight invoices coming in, they can be captured in the system. And then what the system will do is will not only do a match pay, so it's going to match up. This is the tender amount. This is what you shipped it with. Here's what came in on the invoice. Make sure that those two values match. If they match, then the system will auto voucher that invoice back into the ERP. So that will save you a little bit of time. Again, we talk about integration and automation. The system will not only make sure it's invoiced at the right amount, but it's then also going to automatically voucher that straight back into the ERP. And we do this a lot, especially with the Acumatica customers, I find, is taking advantage of this process within our system. Then if I just go back to the main dashboard here, you have these KPIs around all of your freight. That's always going to show you how you're doing trend-wise based on the modes that are rolling through here. So if you have parcel rolling through, LTL, truckload, it's going to keep track of how you're doing on the various modes. And one of the things we have in our system is we call our auction module. So for those that have truckload where you're doing spot quoting, you can do all of that spot quoting through our system. And it's as simple as inviting the truckload carriers that you want into your auction setup. So it's a one-time thing. Go in here, you put in the email address of the carrier, and then you click invite. They're going to get an invitation. And then when they register, it will show that they're registered on the platform. So then when you do a spot quote shipment through here, it's then going to notify those carriers, and then you'll have those carriers bidding on those shipments through the tool. So if I go into this example here of auction, click on the details, you're going to see that this is the lowest price so far. You can see who the rate was sent to, which carriers got it. And if I scroll down, you'll see the bid history. And that's really the advantage of using this tool for your spot quoting is rather than send an email out to a carrier and get one price back, you can send it out to auction where the carriers will then bid against themselves and, you know, really drive some price savings for you. And you can also add as many carriers as you want to your auction. There's no limitation on our side. We have some customers that have over 100 carriers that they've put into the auction module, and you know they get great results on the pricing. Not only do they make sure that the loads are covered, but they also get really good rates as well, so they can follow the spot market out there. So coming back to the main dashboard, we also do have what we call dynamic reports. So dynamic report is just a report that I can dynamically add and remove columns. So if I want to here, I can pick every single column that we have in here. So we've got, you know, full ship to address, from address, ship to, total charges. And what you can do with this report is you can have it get scheduled. So if I want to schedule it, I can have this get emailed to me on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis. And you can configure this report to be the exact columns that you need to get sent to you. So whether you're doing some monthly freight reporting of some kind or just a summary by carrier, you can do all that through here. So you can see I just returned 3.8 million rows of data just came back on this one report, and I can export this to Excel or just schedule this to get emailed to me. And I can go in, and any column in here is searchable. So I could say, where bill type is equal to, not equals. So again, with our solution, you do have full visibility to all of your freight all in one place. So if you do have those important freight reports that you guys are using to keep track of your spend, you can do all that through here. So for those of you that answered the poll question that didn't know what your freight spend was, maybe we should talk, because maybe this report would help you get that answer at your fingertips very easily. So again, with our solution, fully integrated with the ERPs, from a pricing model perspective, usually I get asked that as well. We do a one-time setup fee to get it installed, and then it's a fixed monthly fee. And the monthly fee is going to be based on how many modules you're using and then your transactions. And we will average your transaction counts out. So if you do have a peak season, we're just going to ask for annual volume and then just average it out. That way it's one set fee per month, easy to budget. You don't have to worry about costs going up when you hit your peak season or anything like that. It'll just be the same for the year. And that's how we do everything within our solution. And so that's where you just get the modules that you want. So I've shown you everything that we have. And now it just comes down to just picking the pieces that you really need. And that's what we will deploy. And then we can always add on at any point in time. Again, that's the scalability side of us. So with that, I think that's probably a quick high level demonstration. I don't want to get into too many details and bore everybody.
Well, Shannon, knowing RateLinx, you guys are great partners. I was wondering if you could, while we're still in the demo, share an example of the cost savings for spot quoting.
Sure. So spot quoting, if I go down to the auction trend, the average first versus accepted bid, $500. So we do see roughly about 20% cost savings on spot quoting when they use our solution out there. So depending on how much your shipments cost today, $500, we do have real customers that are getting about anywhere from $300 to $500 per spot quote savings. So it adds up very quickly.
Wow, thanks. Yeah, that's significant. So, we are going to jump over to Q&A now. So I've seen a ton of great questions coming in while Shannon was showing us that demo. So tons of great questions. I want to kick things off with a question of my own. So if you haven't got your question submitted yet, go ahead and put it in the chat, the Q&A. I know we've got questions out there, so we're going to dive into those. But, Shannon, can you tell me a bit about what data ShipLinx syncs back and forth to Acumatica or Sage, and maybe how often that's updated, and kind of all those details around the integration?
Yeah, so all of our integration will be real time. So there's no delay on it. When you scan in the order, it's going to pull it over right away. And when you ship it, it's going to send it immediately. And it's going to pull in everything. So ship to address, ship via code, it'll pull in details. So we do have some customers where, mainly on the Sage 100 side, where we're printing packing slips. So they're using, their WMS, ScanCo, ScanForce, they're using that to do all of their packing and picking. And then we're going to grab from the SO invoice detail table, stuff like that, and print out the packing slips along with the shipping label. So that's where the amount of data that we pull really is whatever that customer needs to fulfill their shipping requirement. There's no limit on it. And it's all real time. That's the good part.
Okay, awesome. And that also reminds me, with the webinar, we had someone reach out beforehand who said they really wanted to know about reporting and analytics. That's something they're struggling with. So can you tell me a bit about how ShipLinks handles reporting and analytics, especially maybe with like different carriers and across different modes of transportation?
Yeah, one of the main, I guess, analytics that we have here, and it's right here on this analytics trend that I showed on the main KPI. Yeah, right here. We have this potential savings, lost savings, and savings. Lost savings. So what happens is it's going to look at every shipment that goes out and did you pick the most optimal carrier? Let's say somebody overrode it and they didn't pick the most optimal carrier. This will keep track of what that optimal carrier was, its cost, and compare that to which one you shipped with. So that's why we call it lost savings. You have great rates. Why aren't you using them 100%? The potential savings is going to keep track of how much your rules are costing you. So you might have routing rules in place where if you're shipping to retail, for example, you can only use these 3 carriers. Well, that's going to keep track of how much those 3 carriers cost more than what you have available to you. Or maybe you just throttled the carriers for a location where you're only using 2 carriers out of a location instead of the 4 that you have. It's going to keep track of how much that's costing you. And then savings, this tracks the before and after. So you go out, you put in new rates, you do your rate negotiation. This will measure the before and after effect. So now it costs you X, what did it used to cost you is Y, and that delta is your savings. So these are our 3 out of the box analytics that we deliver all the time. And this really helps a lot of customers just stay on top of it in a very easy way. So that way they don't, lose track of how much a rule is costing them, or maybe somebody's not being as optimal as they should be. They can get the memo that they have to change carriers because rates changed.
Great. No, that's great to know. That is an awesome tool to see. Very easy to just see it right in front of you. There's so many good questions coming from the audience, so we're going to keep diving in. You mentioned Scanco earlier, I think, and maybe Scan4. So we actually had someone ask a question about that. They said, does this solution integrate with Scanco products / modules for Sage 100? And also, I think they're saying maybe they use like pick and pack and Scanco
Yep.
and multi-bin and all these things. So can you tell me a bit about that?
Oh yeah, we do multi-bin. I've learned that one. So yes, we do have customers doing multi-bin and all that stuff. So yes, we have several customers that we've had to do that integration. So it's not a problem at all.
Yeah, and that's something too, if you're an SWK customer and you've got that solution, we're more than happy to have a conversation with you, our partners at RateLinx, everyone, and talk about in detail how those two can work together.
Yep.
Okay, more questions come. And I want to let everyone know I did launch our final poll. So, as we're going in Q&A and we're getting a little bit past that 30 minutes, if you have to jump, no worries. You can catch the rest of the Q&A on the recording. I'm happy to keep answering everyone's questions they've submitted. And then that poll is live. So just, if you're interested in learning more about what Shannon's been showing us today, we'd love to know what we can do to help you move forward, whether that be a more personalized demo, a little bit more information, any of those options there. So Shannon, I had a question. Someone asked, does it have pallet information or do you have to create the pallet manually each time?
That's a good one because some customers have no way for us to automate that pallet. So yes, we do have pallet information. It's really going to come down to your product mix and can it be put in there. We have like a cartonizer that can take the products and the dimensions and figure out the number of pallets that it's going on. As long as you have that information already set up where based on the item, we know the dims and weights. Otherwise, the way our solution works is if something is missing, the front end is just going to prompt for it. So that's where you could have a mix of orders where some do, and then the system will fill in the pallets for you. And then for the ones that don't, you just have to fill it in yourself, depending on how that product looks.
Okay, great to know. And then, earlier I think you mentioned the auction feature. So someone asked, is that auction feature a standard feature?
Yep. That is
Okay.
100% standard. Absolutely. We've been using
It's a
that
very cool feature.
yeah, we've been using that since 2008. It's been around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's an oldie but goodie.
It's crazy to think that's almost 2 decades if you really think about it. So that's a long time.
We've been around for a while. Yep.
Okay. This person said, does the ocean freight module work with Sage 100 or work in Sage 100?
Absolutely. Yep. Ocean freight module absolutely works with Sage 100. You can do tracking. We just need a container number and a carrier, and then the tracking will kick in. You can also use the auction module for ocean freight. So you can invite your freight forwarders and ocean carriers into the auction for ocean, and then do those shipments out to them as well to get bids back and tender the freight to them, which would then start tracking it as well. So if you wanted to use it for that inbound side of the freight, you absolutely can do it. So not only can you do the outbound piece, but you can also do the inbound piece for that ocean if you're doing it right through the auction module, and then you'll naturally get tracking. If you're not using the auction, then it's just a matter of dumping in a container number and a carrier, and it'll start tracking.
Great to know. And I see some people answering our final poll. I'd love to see even more responses from you out there, even if it's just an I don't know, makes me happy. So love to see even more responses as we go through. And then if you have a question, we are down to like the last 2 questions. So go ahead and get it in now so I can make sure it gets asked live. And if you're one of our LinkedIn viewers, you can put it, on a comment there too, and we'll get your question asked. So the next one I have for you, Shannon, is this person said the web version of RateLinx, is that available for Sage 100? And if not, what does that look like?
So yes, it is available for Sage 100. If you don't want to use that and you want to use the desktop, so that way it can, usually desktops used just for speed. It is faster to use the GUI client. And if you use the GUI client, all we have to do is install just that front end. There is no SQL server required to be supplied by the customer. All of our setups and everything are in Azure. It's in the cloud. So it really is just that desktop client. And what we do for the integration to Sage is we install a server-side component where Sage is installed, and that's what does the integration with Sage. And we do that for 2 reasons. One is speed. It allows it to be pretty instantaneous in terms of the integration. And then the second reason is that way on the individual clients, all we need is our desktop. There's no other connection information needed back to the Sage 100 instance at all. So it keeps it pretty lightweight. And once that desktop is installed, it will maintain itself. So from a maintenance perspective and version upgrades, you don't have to worry about doing anything with it. It's very light on the IT support side.
Okay, great. So with that, I've got our final question before we wrap. So this question asked, do you have business rules that will determine and automate the fastest way or cheapest way when looking at all of their carriers?
Yes. So within the solution, it can do a multimodal rate shop. So it can rate shop parcel versus LTL versus truckload. And it can take into account what we call a must arrive by date. So if you have shipments that have to get to your customer by Thursday, it will rate shop the carriers that can get it there by Thursday and pick the least costly carrier. So for the gamers in the audience, for those of you that picked up the new Nintendo Switch 2, you can thank ShipLinx for making sure that they all got to the stores at the exact same time, so that when you got in there at midnight, you're able to buy your Switch 2, because all of those rolled through ShipLinx. And that's probably the most extreme case of getting things there at the right time for the right amount.
I can't believe I'm just finding this out now that the switches made it into time because of the ShipLinx. I love that. Got to update my Switch. So I told you last question. I have now branded myself a liar because we got 2 last minute submissions. So we're going to quickly cover them, but then we're going to have to wrap with those. And if you think of another question, let us know in the poll that you want to have a conversation, reach out. We'll have some contact information on the next slide. So can you speak to Shannon, if this solution will work with a multi-company in Sage 100, if there's any cost differentiation there?
Yep, we do have multi-company installed with ShipLinx as well. It's, again, for us, from a licensing perspective, we don't license by the location. It's just going to be what modules are you using and what's the volume. So they probably just have a little more volume there, but multi-company integration with Sage is not a problem at all. Okay,
great. And then the final one is, you mentioned integration with ScanCo. How about MapaDoc, which might be SPS Commerce now, also AKA. Do you have an integration for those who use that solution?
We haven't had to do anything with that yet. We've run into customers that ask that question, and by the time we map it out, we find that it's just a matter of us putting data in a certain spot in Sage, and then it gets taken from there. But from a technical perspective, there's no reason why we can't do it. We do have, we're very familiar with them. We have a lot of customers who use them. So I would say if you have a specific unique requirement with them, I'm sure we could do it. We're very familiar with them and have talked to them for years and years. So they're pretty easy to work with.
Yeah, and MapaDoc has taken me back an age with the naming, because if you're at part of SWK, that used to be an SWK partner, and we're partners with them. So SWK has a lot of expertise on that solution, and then, close partnership with RateLinx. So that's something, if that's your question, that we can talk about. Your sales rep, we can connect you and figure out the right answer there. Yep. So with that, we went a little past time, but I always like to keep going if we've got great questions. So thank you to everyone out in the audience for taking some time out of your Tuesday. I hope you're going to have a wonderful rest of your day, and that you found this session informative and, gave you the information that you're looking for. If you do think of a question after the session, or want to connect with Shannon and his team, learn more about RateLinx, whatever it may be, you can always reach out to your SWK rep. And if you don't know who that is, or you've lost the contact information, you can always reach us at info@swktech.com. We've been more than happy to connect you with the right people. Shannon, thank you so much for a great presentation today, and showing us the product in real time. It was great to see. I'm still a fan that the switches made it because of the product. So Thank you so much. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.